welcome to the Daily Creative Challenge for Photoshop, the absolute last day that I'm going to be here at least. And I'm kind of sad about it. We're all talking in the chat about how it's been for the last 2 weeks, and I'm just so glad that you guys have stuck around and really dove into the challenges. I feel like this all works just because of you guys. So I want to say hi to you all, of course. Tanya, Richard, and Lawrence, and of course Tim, the Mo Beast, is in the chat. He says he's born ready for this live stream. I believe it. He came out and he was like, time to live stream. All right, yeah, we've got Cecilia saying hi to Tanya because we make friends in the chat. That's what we do here. Justin, Cecilia, Kendall, my friend Kendall, Oddfellow opener. Excellent. I know of the Oddfellows, but I don't know their opener by heart, so I want to see that. Ralph, hi, nice to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm just so glad we're all a family here. If you haven't tuned in for the last 2 weeks and this is your first day, hi, welcome to the family. We do a creative challenge here every single day. We've been starting at 9 a.m. for the Photoshop one, and throughout the day there are different challenges for different programs, including Illustrator and XD, I believe, this week. And then the Adobe Lives have been about Fresco, which I absolutely love as well. So it's just been a wonderful week for me, and, well, 2 weeks, I guess. It's crazy. It's been 2 weeks. Good job, you guys. So, again, if you have not been here before, this is the, well, this, if I can get to the right tab, is the Daily Creative Challenge page. You can access this in the link below this video, and it's where you find out how to do this thing. Basically, you get a challenge each day, you do the challenge, and then you post it to talk about it with other people. And stay connected. Now, this is something I want to remind you guys of, especially if you're watching this as a replay. Hello from the past. I want you to know that all of our past challenges are just right below this, the Daily Creative Challenge page. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll see all of the challenges we did in the last 2 weeks, as well as all of the others. We've got November back to October. Oh, there's just so many challenges going back throughout the year, with so many amazing hosts and so many different goals behind them. Our goal for the last 2 weeks have been making holiday-themed or winter-themed cards so that you could have them for yourself, for your loved ones, print them out, just send them digitally. One person in the Discord said that they were using it as their phone background now, and I'm just so happy about that because that's exactly the kind of thing I want, is something usable for you guys, something that you're really proud that you made. So if you guys want to make the best possible challenges that you've ever made before, the key to that is the Discord. If you go on our Discord, you will get so much feedback from professionals, from novices, from everybody going through the same thing you're going through. Mentors. I am mentoring, I guess today would be the last day. I'm not sure if it goes through the weekend. I'll ask them. But yeah, I think this is one of the hidden gems of this whole program, is having the ability to talk with others, give feedback, get feedback. And if you've never joined the Discord before, here is the link. It goes PS Discord, PS for Photo Shapu. So please come on down and join along with us. And I want to jump into today's challenge now. So also, by the way, one quick other thing. After you are done with getting all of your feedback and really polishing your piece, I want you to post it to Behance, because that is where we're actually going to see it in the end. This is where your work lives on long after you've done with it and done the next challenge and the next challenge. So I want you to give it the hashtag #PSDailyChallenge. This is how we can find it in the vast library, the endless knowledge that is Behance. We've got so many awesome challenges already here. Lots of animals, which I'm very happy about, you guys know. And I hope you guys enjoy seeing yourselves up here. It's a really cool thing. All right, so let's jump into today's challenge, which has more animals. This was just my test to make sure that the brushes were working on my Cintiq. And today I have given you this image as a starter file. I got this from Adobe stock. I thought it was real cute, so I wanted to use it. And I think that it's a perfect opportunity to do it. What I'm going to do today basically is combine a lot of the challenges and make a frame for this guy. So I'm just pressing F to go through the different formats of having this up here. And I want to show you guys just a way to take any photo that you have of your loved ones, of your pets, of you, whatever you want to send to people or have kind of showcased in this, I want you to be able to just jazz it up, like, to 10. So that's the goal today. We're going to make this photo just even more special. Oh man, you guys, you're so sweet. Aria says, I didn't have time to do the challenges, but I've loved the live streams with Anna. Aw. You know, whatever you do, I am fine with it. Like, I think the challenges are such a cool tool. Okay, by the way, little non sequitur. I paid thousands of dollars for classes like this, and they barely scratch the surface of Photoshop. So I hope you guys appreciate that all these challenges are meant to give you free knowledge and inspire you to actually use it. It's like if you were taking a class, you would go through all of these assignments, and you know, obviously you can pick and choose. You don't have to do it every single day, but it's the idea behind it is you will exponentially just grow in your skill set, and that is the coolest thing I can think of. And I'm just so glad that this exists. So thank you, Adobe Live team, for making daily creative challenges. All right, so I have masked out this guy. I figured since we made a wreath yesterday, I didn't want to do just another circle. I wanted to make a different shape. So I started with a diamond. And this was kind of my my template, you know, for having the shape already outlined, so I can figure out what I want to use as a framing device. And I like so much the rosemary that I scanned in and gave you the file for, I think yesterday and 2 days ago. I gave you the files for that. So they should be somewhere if you can find them. And these are just scanned images of a little sprig of rosemary from my balcony, and I just flipped it and scanned it again for a second image, so there's a little bit of variety. And all I did here was I would just take one piece of it and I duplicate it and then have that like just overlap again and again and again and again in the directions that I wanted it to go. So I knew that I wanted it to go one direction all the way around, and so I just did one side of it and then duplicated that and then transformed it to the other side so that the arrow kind of keeps flowing around it, if that makes any sense. And these were just so much fun to play with. I am so glad that we used a lot of plants in what we were doing this week. I'm just duplicating these groups, and I'm going to do Command or Control E to flatten them. So now this is just one image on one layer. And I'm going to do the same to the other, Command E. So now we've got two flat image sides, and I'm just going to compress them both together. So this is all just one image now on one layer. And you know, I don't even need to have it just as the images that I have. I kind of love the silhouette shape that they create. So what I'm going to do is open a new layer, Alt hover between the two so I can clip them together. So this only affects what's on this layer. And it is its own layer still, so if I turn it off, we'll still have that original one. And what I'm going to go in with, hey, today we're doing brushes. Finally! It's so hard to come up with, like, what is the specific thing that we're going over today, but brushes, I think, are universal. I always use brushes. So I am so excited to show you some of my favorites. These are all going to be from the CC package, so you can have access to them if you have Creative Cloud. And they're all Kyle Webster brushes, I think. I don't know if I use any basic brushes anymore, just because I love them so much. Kendall says, I had to learn most of this on my own, starting in middle school. Wow, you got an early start. Glad there's a way for a new era of people to learn. That is so true, and I feel like the internet is magic, guys. I just hope you know how much information is out there for you, because it really is magical. Alright, so I'm going to start with the green from the plant, and I'm going to finagle it into what I want, which I think is like a pretty desaturated, like middle green. Maybe I'll go a little bit darker. There we go. It's on the yellower side. And I'm just going to brush it in with this Bristle Balm brush, which is one of my favorites for a good texture. And it is one that's a high resolution brush, so that means when you size it up, it still has a lot of texture and detail in there. It doesn't get blurry. And so now we've got a flat green in here, and you can really see the strength of the silhouette of these plants. I really love how they just flay out and feel so organic, and they add a little whimsy. This is like, what do they call it when it's the plant decoration? I'm going to think of the name of it. If you guys remember the name of like a plant decoration for Christmas. Oh, garlands. That's what it is. Garlands. It's like when you use it on a banister for stairs or something. This is like a garland for your frame. I'm going to go slightly darker and slightly more bluish green, and I'm just going to start like doing what I want here. This is not necessarily to look photorealistic in any way. It's to look decorative. So it's all about what your goal is here. You have to think about like, so what is the end kind of look or feel that I'm going for? And what I want is just a decorative mood. It does not have to be realistic in any way. The photo is the realism, okay? It's got it on lock. Look at that puppy's face. It's so good. By the way, if you don't know me, I am dying for a pet. Ugh. I really, really want a pet. We're just waiting for the right time because we live in a totally tiny apartment right now. You guys are actually in my living room, FYI, which is just so weird. But someday, soon, actually, we might be able to get a whole home office. And then my dog will just lay on my feet all day, and he'll be my coworker. And then I'll have a studio, and it'll be called like Anna and Mochi is gonna be his name. It's gonna be A&M, A&M Designs. Ooh, fancy. All right, so this is all I really want for this is just a little bit of texture inside here, but really heavily leaning on the silhouette of these plants. All right, next I want to add a little something on top. So what I thought with this, oh, actually, let's do the background first. Let's do the background so this really pops. Okay, so yesterday we made patterns, and I'm so happy to see all of your guys' patterns in the Discord, seeing what you guys are making, and it gave me the idea of using it again, because sometimes you have a flat pattern and you're like, this is the end, this is the artwork. But a lot of times patterns are used to decorate other things, so it kind of becomes its own backdrop. It is something like, if you make it a little subtle in the value and the coloring, it can become a piece of another piece. So that's the idea here. This is the exact pattern I made yesterday with the red background. If you guys saw my final yesterday, we were torn between a red background and a green background, and it was mostly green but a little bit of red. So I actually added to the background mostly green and had a little bit of it red to please everyone, because I am a people pleaser. So this is the red background on here, same as yesterday, and to tone it down a little bit, because this is very busy right now where you're like, oh, am I looking at the pattern? Am I looking at the dog? I want you to look at the dog. So I put a normal layer at 72% of that exact same background color. So I just select the background color, Alt select, and then filled a new layer with it, and then set the opacity down a little bit. That's all it is. And you can really finagle with like, how much do you want to show? Now that's fine. I think that like really sets it back in a nice way, but I also want it to be slightly darker so that the values of our dog are pretty like light to mid-tone, and I want that background to be dark so that the picture is the thing popping. We've got Harry Potter in the chat, and instantly I'm like, what are they talking about? Kendall says, lol, travel to Anna. It should be called Anna Panda or something with an animal. Oh my gosh, yes. I love it. Hello, my friend. I'm doing quite well. Oh, good. I'm glad. You guys are talking in the chat to your friends, and I just absolutely love it. And then Kendall says I should have a Harry Potter themed, like, show or design channel or something. I made a promise the other day that with Shauna Parmesan, who is a fantastic artist, if you haven't seen her work, look her up. She also makes brushes for Procreate mostly, I think, but she makes brushes for a lot of programs, and she and I want to do a live stream where we draw Harry Potter stuff together. You know, ideas are abounding in the chat of the Behance. All right, so we've got our background. We've toned it down quite a bit. We've got a much darker palette, and we can control the opacity of this to really make it what we want, you know? And so now that we've got a full backdrop, we've got the frame, it's looking pretty good already. That was really quick, right? But we want to add a little bit more zazz and a little glow because it's the Christmas season. So I added just these little tidbits. I was using the amazing cartoon nib, and I don't trust myself to do this as carefully on stream, but I'll just show you an example of what I did. So I was using just plain old white, and I do test strokes to see how fat my brush is, and I want it to be a little bit smaller. And all I was doing is basically S shapes, where I feel like, okay, this curves around here. And what I'm imagining is, let's erase this one part and then just draw it in for funsies. What I'm imagining is it going underneath these plants. So we've got these plants here, and they're in space. And this is coming out, going over it, and going back behind. And the whole goal here is not necessarily to be realistic, but to be organic and flowy and really give it a sense of like life and flow. And it's not that the plants weren't organic enough, but I just love having some kind of element over it that gives it that the flowy quality, to really re-emphasize that. And I didn't get really specific in here where it's like, oh, I have to zoom in and make sure that it goes exactly behind where the leaf is. Like, I don't want to be that precise with it. I want it to be like easy for me, because these kind of things don't always have to be a painstaking journey of pixel to pixel. Sometimes you can just like put your own little spin on things and make it feel very organic and alive without having too much work. So that's the goal with this. Of course, do your own style with this. Try out your own brushes and see if you like something with this. Like, you could have a texture to the brush that adds some kind of different feel to it. This one is a very, like, it's a pretty thin brush, but it's opaque, meaning that it doesn't show up transparent. And let's just draw on his nose a little bit. Oh, it turned into a different color. Probably accidentally altered, but here. This one, you can see it has a bit of a texture to the edge, but it's completely filled in the center. So it has completely opaque opacity and it has a textured edge. So that's all I was looking for with this brush. I'll show you, the Bristle Balm has a little bit less opacity, so you can see through to the nose of the doggo. But if I press harder, it's got more opacity. See that? And it doesn't have as much, well, it does have a fair bit. Like, it goes from smaller to bigger the harder I push. So pushing very little, pushing more. So you can see that kind of difference in the Bristle Balm. Another one of my favorites that I love drawing with is the HB pencil. This one has a lot of what what was it called? The Amazing Cartoon Nib. That was the full opacity one. But it has opacity control as well. So it's got that texture, it's got opacity change, and it's also got size change. So we've got no pressure, it's very small, it's very not opaque. What would you call that? Transparent. And then as I start pressing more, it's more opaque. It's looking more like the Cartoon Nib one. So it's really easy to control, and I love it for sketching especially, because one of my favorite things for sketching is finding the right shape. So if you're just like, okay, I don't, kind of like this, kind of like that, actually I want it to be more like this. And then you have like these less defined lines because you're sketching around, and then you get more defined as you figure out that shape. So that is my little lesson on brushes and how I use them. Delete. Deleted. All right, real quick, let's go through a few more layers here and see what we find. Let's see. Okay, so I used the Bristle Balm brush here to make lights, which are basically just these yellow dots. So all I did was use this brush and do a little circle motion. Boop. And I just organically tried to place them around, zoom out, feel if it's balanced enough. Maybe I need another one over here. And to get these to glow, I'm going to add another layer. I'm going to draw over them in the same color, but bigger. Just going to real quick, boop, boop, boop. And you could just use the same lights and size them up, but I don't feel like finagling that. I like drawing as much as possible, honestly. Anytime that there's the option to like move something or draw something, I would much rather draw it. But that's me personally. All right, so we've got all these guys, and now we're going to set it to, let's do soft light for this guy. And then I'm going to duplicate that. I'm gonna set it to hard light, which makes it like really, whoa, what's happening? It's blown out. But I want to do a filter, blur, Gaussian blur, one of my faves. And look how that just sets it off. Like, oh man, it's like, oh, the lights are off, but they're like kind of looking nice and shiny, and then boom, they're glowing. Oh my gosh, you got that glow. So this is exactly what I was talking about by turning on the lights. I want it to feel very light and flowy. I also added a little bit of a soft light rim along the edge of the the diamond that I made. So it's clipped to here, so it won't go outside the diamond. It's just inside. Do you guys see that? It's pretty subtle, but it adds just a little bit of light feeling. Mandy says, ooh, so pretty. I'm so glad. All right, so last but not least, I want to add just a little bit of text, and I thought, why not make it a pun? Come on. But as we said the other day, one thing with text that we can do to make it a little bit more handmade feeling is we can draw over it. So I'm using all of the kerning, all of the like shape design of the original font. So I have this basic layout, but I want to just add this little bit of touch, and maybe I make some decisions that make it very unique to me. So one of the decisions that I want to make, and I'm just using the cartoon nib brush again, I'm going to show you the brushes as I do it, is I want to, yes, follow these lines, but I want to make the horizontal lines really low, because I feel like I've seen some fonts that do that, and it's really cute. Just gives it this feel. You'll see what I mean when I turn all this off, and you can see just that. So I'm going to bring the P down, the bottom of it, and I might not make the perfect marks all the time, and that's completely okay, because we have layers, baby, and we can go back and fix anything we find that is not working out completely right. And you know, sometimes you want to like, okay, I made a P already. I'm just going to duplicate it and bring it down here. I have actually seen hand lettering artists who are like, oh, it's duplicated. They just made a font of it. Cheaters! Which is so funny. But that was just something I saw. I think it was Adam JK who said that because he does all of his lettering completely. Just everything he writes is just, he wrote it just then. Which is just so funny to me. Do however you want. There is no cheating. It's all just whatever you feel is worth it to you. So this is another decision that I'm making. I'm going to make the W a little bit lower to fit with all my lower lines. I'm even going to put this line a little bit lower. Boop. And you can see I'm still using all the kerning of the... Kerning is the spacing between the letters, by the way, of the original font. And it's just really fun to do this kind of stuff. It kind of gives your brain like a break. See, I didn't like that line, so I'm going to go back and do it a few times. Boom. That's okay. And this kind of stuff can be therapeutic, honestly. And I want you guys to feel like you have complete, like, creative freedom over your own work. So this is a great way to just give yourself that little, like, freedom back. All right, let's zoom out and see what this looks like, guys. No more text. What do you think? Do you like it? Happy holidays? I think this D needs to have a little bit of a cleanup, but that's okay. And you can make, like, obviously certain ones thicker, like, oh, I want it at the bottom a little bit thicker. Any of that kind of stuff is completely up to you, but I want you to play with it. I want you to have so much fun with this that you're just laughing at your computer. Ha ha ha, I'm having so much fun. Is that too much to ask? Oh, gosh. All right. Kendall says, now I'm blaming my bad internet on my cat. He tries to make the router pet him by asking for pets. That is so cute. I love it. So yeah, this is what I came up with for today to frame your loved one's pictures or your, you know, cute animal pictures that you randomly found on the internet and fell in love with. I'm happy with any of that. I hope you guys learned something about brushes today. I want to use the last minute that we have to just look over a few of these beautiful pieces that you have in the Discord because, oh my gosh, you guys are so talented. And there are just so many beautiful things happening in here. I want you guys to get inspired not only by me doing this every day, but by each other. And of course, the next host that comes along is going to have such a new feeling to it. Like, look at this. This is like vintage artwork. This really calls out to me as like one of those pieces that could be in a 50s magazine or something. Having such a definitive style is not something that I would come up with naturally, and I think that that is exactly why we need things like the Discord to talk to each other with. Oh my gosh. Aria said, wow. So Anna, if I come to your house, you'll just be laughing at your computer. Yeah, basically. That's my life. So thank you guys so much for just joining in for the last 2 weeks. It has been such a joy. Happy Friday the 13th. I am just so glad that you guys have joined in. Oh, and Howl's Moving Castle is in the chat. You're my people. Do you know that? All right, so thank you so much for joining in. I will see you sometime, maybe in the new year, and I hope that you have a very merry, happy holidays. Bye, guys.